Survivor Series, one of the original Big Four pay-per-views, rich in its history, so many great moments. And now they've reduced it to a show where they're adding people literally with 2 days left and sometimes in the dumbest ways possible. I'm Charles Rentham with my review of WWE Smackdown as well as my Survivor Series 2020 predictions. Why? Because Survivor Series just hasn't had a lot of hype behind it this year. That's not to say that it's going to be a terrible show. I'll talk about that here in a little bit. But just for a big landmark show, best of the best, brand versus brand, when a lot of those people were on the separate brand before the draft and everything, I don't really feel like it means that much. But again, the matches could be good. So we start off the show with Street Profits talking backstage, facing a New Day, a bunch of popcorn buckets there for some reason. And they talk about The Undertaker's final farewell. Please let it be The Undertaker's final farewell. He shouldn't have been wrestling past 2010, maybe 2012, the end of an era match. When they mention Undertaker, lightning spoopiness, the Black Cat shows up, and it's Big E in a sombrero. That's all they had in wardrobe, he said. They do the usual joking, and that's it. Remember when Big E was supposed to get a big push? And fucking get a big push? Now, I'm not saying they're burying him. I'm not saying that at all. Maybe he's injured and they're just having him appear on TV while he rehabs that. Whatever the reason is, hopefully he is the one to beat Roman Reigns at Mania, because, I'm sorry, Jey Uso versus Roman Reigns. Jey Uso is Universal Champion? No, that doesn't mean anything to me. Big E winning it would mean a whole lot more. And then Xavier and Kofi are there. They're talking about, they're going to pay Street Profits. They, reference The Undertaker. They do the sit-up thing. All that. Remember when New Day were supposed to go their separate ways and it was supposed to be New Day on Raw, New Day on SmackDown? Yeah, so much for that. I get it. It's the hype Survivor Series, but whatever. Zayn shows up, talking conspiracies, wanting to face Undertaker. Please don't have Undertaker wrestle again. Yells about Bobby Lashley, wanting to be the guy that the company would want to push. And being paranoid. He thinks he's paranoid. Now that garbage song is stuck in my head. Shirley Manson still looks fucking amazing in 2020. Absolutely astounding. Must be something in the Scottish water. And then Corbin shows up, does his king stuff. Of course, a Caucasian king would want to hold down 2 African-American men under his thumb. On Fox, no less, so no wonder they approved this. And then Dolph and Rude show up, and cool. Rude I like. It's funny that Rude and Xavier are on a wrestling show in Orlando in 2020. Dixie Carter's impact continues. So, and then Xavier and Kofi challenge him, hey, why don't you 2 teams face each other? And then the winners can face us for our WWE Raw Tag Team Champions. And then they're like, nope. They just start beating them up. Street Profits show up. The Street Profits, who are the New Day's opponents, 2 days from now, suddenly show up to defend New Day. Mutual respect and all that. Michael Cole then says, the Street Profits want the smoke, and I'm now reminded of why I wish Michael Cole was never allowed on commentary. The last time he was any good was like late 2005, early 2006. He's been an abomination ever since. Overproduced? Sure. He shouldn't be on commentary. He's fucking horrendous. Goddamn horrendous. He makes me wish there was no commentary at all. Because he doesn't add anything. He actively takes away. He fucking sucks. Anyway, New Day, Street Profits, Rude, Ziggler, Corbin, and Zayn, and 8-man tag, Human Centipede together, and then WWE official Adam Pearce just making the goddamn GM. Just making him the GM. Why the fuck not? Kofi collides with Montez. Weird break spot. And then Frog Splash pins Zayn after he's tagged into the match, like 10 seconds. 1, 2, 3. And that was like way later. And then we get Bryan shoving Sami Zayn because Zayn gets in his face and everything. And Bryan's hair is a choice. Whoever made that decision for him should be slapped, because that's a really bad haircut. And I'm one thing, who am I to talk about somebody's hair? But there's a reason. I don't want to have goofy haircuts. That's why I do that. Hopefully Brie didn't make that decision. Wouldn't be the only dumb decision she's made, like being in a wrestling ring. But anyway, he shows him while wearing a mask. I believe in social distancing. And then we get footage of Jay and Bryan, and that Jay should be worried about what I'm going to do to him because he's been gone for a while because Jay beat the shit out of him. And then Adam Pearce is talking to somebody and says, hey, I really appreciate what you've had to come over and all the shit you've had to go through, basically without saying the word shit. He puts Otis on Team Smackdown. I now want to go on record and say that I want Team Smackdown to lose 5-0 because I hate Otis, the character. I don't hate the person. I hate the character. And then says, oh yeah, by the way, he lost to Rollins in a qualifying match. And now he's just suddenly named. So they literally have nobody. Anyway, Bayley's then named to Team Smackdown. Natty's like, what the hell's going on? But he's like, well, I have the power to name one person, but not 2, so you got to face Tamina next. Okay, whatever. Rollins, I'm responsible for everything in your life, and all the good that's happened. I'm going to send you back to where you're going to be nothing. He's going to give that same speech to his kid when the kid is born. Man, that's needlessly mean. I wish nothing but the best for Becky and Rollins. I'm not going to call them by their real names because you know what? I don't know their real name. Or I do know their real names, but I don't know them personally. Fans to do that, you're fucking weird. Bianca and Bayley join commentary. Tamina versus Natty, last chance qualifier. Sharpshooter for the win. And then everybody just stands around. Ruby and Liv show up. And everybody just stands around while Bayley kind of named herself the captain on commentary. Drew and Roman, contract signing. We've never had this before. Look, the verbiage was fine. If they had had Drew win the championship at Hell in a Cell and had built this up, promoting it for weeks and weeks and weeks, instead of just last SmackDown and this SmackDown, I probably would have bought into it more. This may be the best match on the card, but honestly, it was meh. I don't know. Sidar, the Learning Tree, good Ernie Ladd reference right there, and they just promoted it, and that was basically it. Roman sitting at the head of the table, though, was a nice touch. And then Rollins versus Murphy, Disciple, Messiah, Australia, America. The Mysterio family's there. They're continuing this Murphy-Aaliyah stuff. So, the year is 2035, half of the world is radioactive, 2/3 are mutated, and the Mysterio-Rollins feud is still continuing. By the way, I'm going to go on the record right now and say that Aaliyah has the personality of a dead zebra. Or a dead antelope. Something dead. In fact, no, that's unfair because something that was dead once would have had use on camera. Aaliyah is not a bad person, but as a TV personality, she fucking sucks. She doesn't belong here. Dominic at least has, the wrestling ability. God damn. Anyway, stomp on the apron. Somehow Murphy is not dead after that. We get layered knees, and then Murphy's Law 1, 2, 3 beats him clean. And it was the biggest win in Murphy's career. And then Sasha shows up 30 seconds later. Thanks for coming, Murphy. Asuka and Sasha have words. And then Cole takes up camera space and, basically reminds us that he exists. We wish he didn't on programming, at least WWE programming. Suddenly, Carmella shows up. And I've seen armless people that punch better than Carmella. Carmella won. Get her in a goddamn training program and get her to be better in the ring. She has regressed. This is fucking rotten. Credit to her for outlasting Cass and Enzo because she actually turned out to not be that bad of a person, unlike them. But goddamn, she is fucking... She makes Sable look good in the goddamn ring. Anyway, I just don't get how people could be fans of Carmella. If you are, that's fine. I just don't get it. She's not any good. And then Asuka's just standing there, which makes sense because Asuka, had her life made miserable by Sasha and Bayley. And then Jay and Brian had a big fight feel. We had announcer's table bump and lots of back focus, but eventually, inside cradle, 1, 2, 3. Daniel Bryan gets the victory. I'm rolling these up because they're continuing the Murphy-Aaliyah stuff, and they don't need to, and they have no business continuing it, and it's fucking rotten. It's going to end in a wedding. And that's actually probably going to be the most scathing rant that I cut because they just will not throw the towel in on this. So, here are the predictions for Survivor Series. It's one of my shortest reviews ever. Dual branded Battle Royal pre-show. I don't know who the participants are. Tucker, Tucker, Shelton, Cedric, hell, Dominic. Have Dominic win it. Why the fuck not? Have Dominic win it. Why not? I don't know. Have Dominic. I'll pick Dominic or Tucker. I don't really care, do you? And then we got Team Raw, AJ Styles, Braun Lee, the Braun Lee paper towel man, Sheamus, Riddle. I think that was actually a Photoshop that Derb did, back when we first started doing reviews. Versus Team SmackDown, Owens, Jay, Corbin, Otis, and Rollins. Rollins is still on this team. I think this is going to be the last time we see Rollins because Becky is about to give birth. She's a few weeks away. She's going to be a mother soon, and good for her, honestly. I wish nothing but the best for them. I'm going to go Team SmackDown. Because I think Owens and Otis are somehow going to win. And because they're both ragtag groups. Fox is going to want at least one of those teams to, one of the teams to win. And I think they're going to go with this. I mean, really, I honestly don't care. I think it's going to be Team SmackDown. Team Raw has been, made to be a ragtag group, but I think they're just going to implode again. And then we're going to get a bunch of feuds going from that. Though we could get Team Raw, winning, and we could have Sheamus win, and then Sheamus could say, hey, Drew, I want to face you at TLC, and do that. So I'm going Team SmackDown with that much confidence. Team Raw for the women, it's Nia anti-vax, that is, Shayna, Lana, Lacey, and Peyton. versus Team SmackDown. By the way, Mandy had to be replaced. Hopefully Mandy recovers from her shoulder injury. Dealing with a legit shoulder injury. Hopefully she recovers quick and has a big showing in the Rumble. And Team SmackDown is Liv, Bianca, Ruby, Bayley, and Natty. I'm going with Team Raw, and they are going to make Lana the sole survivor, and I am going to scream during my review, because Lana does not belong in the goddamn ring. She is not a terrible person, but she doesn't belong in the ring, and I don't care about her being a babyface. New Day versus the Street Profits. Raw and SmackDown Tag Team Champions going head-to-head. Best of the best. Street Profits. I actually think Street Profits should win here. Xavier could take the pin and be fine. That way, because Xavier's like he's like the D-Lo of the team, in the sense that, D-Lo, Nation Domination, you could beat D-Lo and it didn't take anything away from the team. And you always had a member of a team where you could do that, and it could still be good. I think it'll be a good match, but I think Street Profits take it. Asuka versus Sasha, Raw versus SmackDown Women's Champion. Asuka's going to win because Carmella's going to distract Sasha, and then Asuka's going to get the victory. And Asuka's not going to care because Sasha and Bayley made their lives, her life a living hell. Lashley versus Zayn, U.S. versus IC Champion. Lashley. It's going to be Lashley. It should be. I mean, Hurt Business is buried. That Zayn could just get all upset still about conspiracies. The championships are on the line. I think Lashley should be the one to win here. And I like Zayn. Don't get me wrong. I do like him. Does great stuff. Sammy for Syria. He does great stuff there. 30 years Undertaker. They're going to show a bunch of clips. They're going to show a bunch of stuff. Please let this be the end of The Undertaker. It's going to be 30 years when it should have been 20. Let him just retire. Let him go, be the goddamn Trump-supporting trash that he is. And yeah, there's a difference between the character and the person. I'm going to stand by that. Because after protecting his character for so many goddamn years, he's now appearing on Hot Ones and doing a whole bunch of stuff and everything. Did you see the picture of his room? Or the room that he did Hot Ones from? Dear God. You would have thought red would have bled from the walls. That kind of red. Anyway, 30 years Undertaker, cool. It's going to be awesome to see, except I'm not really going to care because I wanted Undertaker to retire for years. And then Drew versus Roman with Heyman, WWE and Universal Champion, going head-to-head. I think it's going to be double DQ. Jay and The Fiend are going to attack. I think The Fiend is going to go after, Drew. Now, you'll probably get Orton involved there, and you'll probably have a triple threat at TLC, and then Orton and The Fiend will go off and do their own thing. But I think it's going to end up being a double DQ. You can't really have either guy lose here because it wouldn't do any good for them. So that's what I think. I think it's going to be a lot of messy finishes. Anyway, agree, disagree, what I said. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Retlin. I'll see you soon.